Welcome to season 3. It's crazy, that winter went by so quickly, but so many things happened over that time in the world of meteorology that, it kind of all mixed together. So looking back at the winter and stuff, you know, it was a very calm winter for many places, which was weird. We saw that severe threat and tons of snow north of the jet stream, but everything at the jet stream level and south, we saw nothing. So looking at, crazy snow totals in some places, and then most of the country, even places along the coast, down in Texas, having more snow than what happened in DC, is something that has never really happened before while, we've been in recorded history. So that's just all crazy. So last season was definitely one of talking about other topics. I was expecting it to be more of okay, we're going to talk about snow events and all this stuff, what's happening now. But really, it turned into something there where weather wasn't really a discussion all the time. You didn't hear about, oh, there's going to be some big snowstorm. There's going to be, 3 inches of snow. It's predicted to be like negative 30. A lot of places we were able to 3 or 4 times wear shorts. And temperatures in the 50s, and you can have temperatures in the 40s in many places as the common temperature. That's something we haven't had in a long time. A lot of places didn't go below zero. The coldest temperature was barely in the single digits at 7, 8, or 9. And that's something that, is it with climate change? Is it just the jet stream? But you'll have to check out one of our old episodes on the last season about that because, it's really a discussion of, is it the jet stream, where it's at? Is it where we're looking at different warmer temperatures, ridges, and all that? And that's all based on the jet stream. And that's something that gets set up all the way over into Alaska. So if you're in New York, it's actually something that affects you starting a week before. So now it's season 3 though, and it is now spring. It is March 20th, and it is a super exciting time of year normally. But we have one problem, and that is what half of our episode today is going to be talking about. And today we're going to be looking at how severe really yesterday was, the first day of spring. Also discuss whether or not this tornado season will be more active. And the second part of our show is going to be talking about the coronavirus. And, just a quick statement on the coronavirus. This is something that I never expected to get this far. Looking at, what it was over in China, that was just because, the whole overpopulation thing, or at least we thought. Well, this spread so rapidly that it has just overtaken the world in record time. It went from being something in a different continent to all of a sudden a global shutdown. And it is something that, we haven't seen since the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s. And how do we handle this? We're still looking into it. As of today, they are saying a cure vaccine might be a year out. So a lot of questions are open about this. What is going to be happening? Is there going to be a cure? When will things resume? And when will I be able to actually go to the store again? And one crazy thing about it is the toilet paper. Come on. It's not like you're going to be stuck there forever, and everyone's buying 37 rolls of toilet paper every single time they go to the store, and they go like 8 times a day. And not having toilet paper is not very fun. So I think it's just ridiculous. It was an overreaction, but the reaction from the governments are accurate right now. I think they should be doing and shutting down a lot of these group activities, and it's really to help the population. And while in the moment it seems like something that's horrible, it's better than dying from it, I think, right now. So it's something that's going to change, and it's a topic that changes every day, so we'll be able to get into that. So let's talk about the severe storms from yesterday. So for Thursday, March 19th. Early in the morning, everyone was already predicting what was going to be happening that day. We had enhanced outlooks the day before for that day, and it was something that you're looking at it and you could just tell it was going to be severe. We had 2 regions, one in the south part of Iowa and the other one right along Arkansas and kind of up through the Ohio River and the Ohio River Valley. And it was something that, it might seem unusual, but it's not. This actually happens a lot. Some of our biggest severe storm systems and outbreaks have happened at this time in March. And so that's something that everyone was talking about, but really it's not that unseasonable. Well, instability was a big factor with this, and that's shear. Whenever this was heading across, we had some converging warm fronts, cold fronts, and really the temperature was rising all afternoon. So we had temperatures in the 60s and quickly rose to 70 in the mid-afternoon that allowed for a convective environment. And, it's something that whenever you see that, you could just tell it's going to be a very severe day. These storms, when they were producing, they were so rapid that we saw multiple inches of rain dropped within 15 to 20 minutes. Other places across the country saw, huge storms with rain, and even though they weren't severe, it was still a lot of rain. But looking at the severe side of it, storms kind of filed into a squall line in the early morning, and that pushed through, and that looked like that was going to be it for the day in early forecast models the week prior. But looking at the week of, and even of the day of, really the forecast models didn't agree. So we saw ones that showed a favored Iowa severe event, some the Arkansas severe event in Missouri, and some others showed that it was going to be severe in a whole lot of other places. Well, really what we saw is a kind of split, and it was an arch that kind of split the two. So it was that dry slot that kind of slid in there, and it really separated and divided the two. So what that allowed is a complete unique environment. And this excessive warmth was allowing convection for each one of these storms. And what really was supported was the ridge with this. It allowed a lot of warm air to be pulled up. And especially at this time of year, we have some wind and a lot of rain. So we have that humidity plus wind, which is creating that shear. And when you combine all of that, we have the perfect environment for tornadoes. And, the supercells were rapid. They happened, rather than being short-lived, they occurred and just continued. So we saw ones, I was tracking one out of Fort Smith, that it probably had a tornado on the ground 2, 3, 4 times, potentially. Could have been on the ground the whole time. But the velocity models really showed rotation on storms at every corner. There was a storm up in Iowa I was checking out in the very southern part of Iowa, right around 3 p.m., where the northwest side had rotation, the southwest side rotation, and there was all these little points along where little juts were sticking out where you could see points of rotation, now where that red hits that green. And on that storm, I don't think there was a tornado confirmed, but I saw photos from it, and there was a huge wall cloud, and that scud, the stuff that you see in the videos that kind of pulls up, and they look like clouds that kind of just come out of nowhere. They almost look like they're rising from the ground. That type of scud that kind of flows around that wall cloud and that base of the supercell is, from what I think right now, what I'm looking at, is what that rotation was. We saw these little bits of scud that were rotating around the storm, and those are rotating. And so we see these needle funnels. It says it right in the name, they are kind of a needle, very thin, but they are rotating, and they'll drop occasionally. And sometimes we'll get a quick spin up out of that. But with these storms, the wind speeds were so fast that if there was going to be a tornado, you're going to see it on radar. That's why the correlation coefficient was so important, is when you're looking at these events, you can see, okay, there's rotation here, there's tornado warning here, or wind speeds are this, rain looks like that, there's a hook echo on it. But looking at the correlation coefficient really allows you to see, okay, this is rain, and, oh, okay, there's a giant hole there, does it match the radar? Yeah, okay, that is the debris of the tornado. And a few circumstances yesterday I've seen online on Twitter, people were able to get quick spin-ups on the correlation coefficient. And that's what makes using all of these so crucial, is we have data now that 100 years ago we never had. So now it's not like, oh, we can tell temperatures in this place, but we can get exact readings from down to the few feet with these systems, and with these, rain and the DBZ levels and everything to wind and vorticity. So looking at all that, combining all that is extremely useful. And, the wall clouds, a lot of these storms that went severe warned, so not tornado warned, but to severe thunderstorm warning, had wall clouds on them. So that's something that we have to talk about too. Wall clouds can happen on almost any storm, and not that they will happen on any storm, but they could potentially happen. You don't need a tornado warning for rotation. Especially with severe storms. If you ever do a Skywarn training online on MetEd, it does a great job representing this. That a severe thunderstorm warning a lot of times contains rotation within it. And I mean, what makes a severe thunderstorm are these heavy winds, the fact that, there's normally hail with them, and then the really key component when you're looking at the National Weather Service's post, whatever you hear it over the radio, that there's a severe thunderstorm warning, is that debris can be thrown at upwards of like 40 mile per hour, let's just say. That's the key there, that debris is expected. So whether or not it has a tornado warning on it or not, it doesn't matter. We could have tornadic wind fields that are put down by a wall cloud. And whether or not that is a tornado is really on the basis of, is it touching the ground? If the winds are at the ground level, but there is no, condensation funnel or connection really, other than some RFD, that rear flank downdraft, and a few other funnel cloud and wall cloud essentials and supercells, then we can say, okay, no, these are just tornadic winds, which is why severe thunderstorms are there. And that warning, we always take it lightly. It's something that people don't pay enough attention to. I know, because I never really pay attention to them until I really started studying and looking into them. And it's really that pre-tornado warning. It's the warning that is telling you this storm is super severe. Normally, it says it right in the words, severe thunderstorm, but you normally think of a lot of wind, probably some heavy rain, power might go out. But we have to add on the fact that with these, there is a lot of events with these severe storms where there is rotation involved. That's how there is so much wind. So with rotation, something could easily be put down. And whether or not, no matter how unfortunate it could be right on your house. And you could have a tornado without a warning. That has happened many times, and it's something that if it's unexpected and you're caught off guard, can be not so good for you. So should you chase systems like these in March? This is a whole other topic. Or should you hold out until April and May? Well, we're talking about these severe storms, severe setups, but when you're looking at the research side of it, it's something that, you don't think about whenever you're just kind of living your daily life and stuff, that there are people studying these, and, storm chasers who want to go out and get photos, see tornadoes, and, everything that is involved with it. Well, if you're one of those people that is curious and storm chasing with it, should you chase these systems? So you hear the joke probably a whole lot through the meteorology community about how chasing kind of trashy setups in March isn't really the best thing. Well, when we look at our peak of tornado season, it really is that, I'm going to call it second half of April and all of May. That is when we see the most tornadoes across the U.S. in a frequency. So, looking at all that, should we chase in March? Well, March over time has historically been a time of tornadoes. We see many years of few big examples, 2012, and all these outbreaks that happened in that early season. And especially in 2012, we saw the first and second week of March tornadoes. It was an outbreak. We had 22 tornadoes across parts of the Ohio Valley. And it's something that, you don't expect out of March, because sometimes you can go from having feet of snow on the ground to having a tornado. Well, that's the point, is March is really that transition period. We would include it on the tornado, the middle heart of tornado season, if it wasn't for the fact that, there's still that winter weather aspect. That winter weather can destabilize these systems. So that's why, April into May, where there isn't really as much snow, maybe once or twice in a decade, but normally there isn't snow, it leaves the atmosphere open, especially since it's spring, it's warming up, and you have all these plants and stuff, it's raining a whole lot. Well, that rain, when it's evaporating, makes the air really humid and stuff, and that really allows that atmosphere around your area to build. And that's where this convection comes in, is whenever this is building, it's gonna keep building until it hits that maximum. And when it hits that maximum, especially in this time of spring, it will be big. Now, these don't happen as often in the spring because a lot of systems kind of get washed out with so much rain. Like, a lot of places got 5 inches of rain yesterday and into today. But in April and May, you have these severe storms that we see those dry lines start to form and build, and that allows these drier storms to go and then precipitation parts, but you really get that photogenic style supercell, which can be some of the worst because if there isn't precipitation, there's not really much to destabilize it. If it's only in places, it is, staying at its maximum, and that's instability, shear, and all that's being added. So that's something when you're looking at chasing, you need to look at those conditions. I think if there's a good setup in March, go ahead. Not the beginning of March, but I say the middle to the end of March. Go ahead and go chase those because those are going to be the setups that with the right conditions, like yesterday, we will see tornadoes. And a lot of great photos coming out of Iowa and many places in Arkansas and Missouri where we see these supercells that formed out of nowhere and then they stayed for a long time. And those can be dangerous because you could see those in squall lines where winds can max out at 80 and that will knock over buildings sometimes. If they, brick buildings, especially older buildings, trees could fall into buildings. So it's something that we really need to be watching out for. And, we talk about May and how impressive the season is, but tornadoes, it's a good thing to remember, can happen at any time of year. And with this rainfall, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more thunderstorms within the week or two. And, all it takes is a little bit of cape, especially this time of year with that humidity and the dew points being so high to have a very unstable atmosphere. And that rain, keeping on the topic of rain, that kind of reminds us of last year with the horrible times that farmers went through. The planting season was so bad. And, we got these feet of rain across the plains. And now we're getting it across many areas of the country. That now makes some people start to think, what's going to happen this year? With so much rain occurring so often, it's hard for farmers to plant. So that's something that, what could happen this year with farmers? Will they be able to plant their crops? And some fields from last year are still destroyed, so will more be destroyed this year? It's something that whenever we get that spring outlook here, which I think was released yesterday, we'll have to see in the coming weeks what our predictions are on the whole spring as a season once they get all those predictions out there. Because I personally expect this to be a really severe year. It wouldn't surprise me if this year we see a lot of tornadoes. Last year we saw a lot of tornadoes, but it wasn't anything to break records about and talk about forever. But this year I'm not saying it's going to break records, but I think we're going to have a lot of bigger storms. They say 1 in 10,000 storms is a supercell. Well, this year, I believe pretty much anything that is a thunderstorm has the potential of going on this severe scale. And, nowadays, with this climate change and it being so warm, we have more days with storms every year. So having more of these days means worse weather. And with the heat and everything and dew points and the more rain will allow for some of these big systems that we will be talking about for decades. So after this break, the topic shifts to the coronavirus. So this second part of the show is talking about the coronavirus. It's just a quick kind of look over of, what all is going on, and just kind of document what is happening right now. And the number of cases in the U.S. is surpassed, I believe, 13,000 as of right now. And that seems little, especially when you compare it to the whole country. But pretty much everybody who has come in contact with those 13,000 people, and everyone that those people, it's just like a tree that branches off. Everybody has probably come in contact with somebody that has either had or came in contact with a person that has the coronavirus. So cases worldwide, we see some stuff about China, and Italy has actually surpassed China now in the death tolls. But China paused yesterday as no new cases were, reported and confirmed. But of course, that is just what's being confirmed. There's only so many tests, and the bigger picture is people are self-quarantining. They're not taking themselves to the hospital, which is what the governments are suggesting not to do, because we need these hospitals open for people who actually need the ventilators and stuff, which is another horrible situation. And the lockdown in China where they sprayed everything down and kept everyone where they're at, was it successful? I mean, so far their has died down to a pause. We'll see how it goes today and this upcoming week here if it starts going down with new cases. But looking at it overall, it seems to be pretty successful. They seem to be handling it well now. They haven't handled it well in the past few weeks, but this week alone, they have done and taken new measures that I think have improved. And in places like Spain and Italy, where they are in lockdown, and now even some of our own states here in the U.S. that are locking down, we hope to see some success with this. Now, locking down, you were locking families together, and if one person had it, now everybody's going to have it in that family. So we're going to see that number, I bet, triple or quadruple here over the next few weeks. A lot of places are saying it's going to take a year till we find a cure for that. But another big thing is, when will we start seeing it die down? And a lot of people expect there to be summer. Sports, are kind of the big thing in the world. It's the one thing everyone can connect on. And when that's not happening, there's not really too much hope for people. So it's something that, we really look at that, locking down and what that does to people and what they think about stuff now, and who knows, but it's something that, it's a worldwide epidemic. That's why we were calling it a pandemic, is because of what's going on with it. And, weather could play a role in the spread of this disease. So this disease looks like, from what we can tell right now, what researchers have been able to look at, is like other diseases in kind of the category of these really severe ones, where as it gets warmer, the spread of the disease will not become as frequent. And with people, outside more, you do come in contact with more people. But if it's warmer, that spread, and especially with outdoor environments and stuff that you touch outside, it'll be harder to get it from that, especially with all this rain, because it'll all wash it away. So the social distancing thing, it's something that will apply right now, but it wouldn't surprise me if we drop the big idea of it here in the next few months, is because, with it being summer and all, diseases and sicknesses generally drop, and they start to wane at this time. And the meteorology community can be impacted by this too. We see people at news stations and stuff, they're all taking off now. But, looking at storm chasers and things, now people aren't chasing in groups, which I think is going to be great. I think that's what's going to lead to kind of the downfall of this disease, is the fact that there won't be groups of people doing a lot of stuff together now. And I think that's what's going to help this kind of cut it off, cap it. And that's what the U.S. government's been trying to do. They don't want what happened in Italy, where you see a really tall climb of 15,000 in one day. We want to see a small bell curve, a stabilizing curve, and we want that curve to stay at the top for at least time as possible, then start diving down again, because that means less people are getting it every day. And I think stuff will open back up now that we are going to be, outside more and stuff. People are going to be spread out. They won't be all cooped up inside their house and stuff, and they won't be as in and out all the time. So I think we're going to see an end to this here coming up. But, this pandemic developed so quickly, it's just amazing. But, what happens right now, just, get some rest, follow what your state has advised, and how many people could get the virus. They're saying up to 25 million in California by 8 weeks. Who knows if it's that many confirmed, but it'll definitely be about that many. So that's something that, working from home and looking at how TV and entertainment's dealing with all of this is going to be the story of the century. You will tell your grandkids about this, and everybody will talk about this, and this will be in history books about what happened and how this all happened. But this whole event is just crazy. And hopefully weather will play a role in that. We could see with these warming temperatures and more rainfall and stuff, kind of that decrease. And hopefully we can maybe get this out of here so we can actually start enjoying life again. Well, so that's about it for this episode. Looking at a few of our concluding things here, make sure to check out EDU videos coming out regularly. Stay tuned on our Twitter for updates. Check out some of our social medias for photos, announcements, and other related topics. Check out our different videos posted on YouTube, from forecast, EDU videos, podcasts, and everything about weather. Make sure to watch our upcoming Season 3 podcast and exciting content as tornado season ramps up. This is really what we're going to call the tornado preseason here. As severe weather starts to become more prevalent, we will be able to study more and look into, what really goes into these storms more often and be able to show you real-life examples on the day of and even the days after. So, yeah, we're really turning to kind of more of a research type of thing with this, and I'm super excited for it. So, thank you all again, and have a great day.